guys, the next thing we're going to be talking about is hiring your starting power team. This is one of those things at the beginning that feels like a big task or feels like it's going to be hard to do, but it's actually a lot easier than you think. This accounts for both doing it in person and remotely. As you know, I've done pretty much all of mine remotely, and I will continue to do so until there's, like a very large project where it just actually becomes easier for me to go there than to go back and forth handling such a large project, right? So here's what we're going to cover in this video. Interior designer options, your furniture assembly team, your cleaning team, maintenance and handymen, and photographers. So this is all you need to start your Airbnb business and have it operating. Of course, when you get a little bit bigger, you would begin to implement a few more members to your power team, right? You'd have some guest communications, you'd have some operations, maybe some back-end operations, but I don't even want to get to that point yet. I just want to teach you exactly what you need to get started, and we will touch base on the advanced power team and what you need to scale and grow in the future modules. When it comes to choosing an interior designer, you actually have two solid options, and both can deliver fantastic results. Your business can thrive with either one or even both, so don't stress about making the right choice. My goal here is to simply lay out the information, breaking down the pros and cons of both options, and you can decide what works best for you. That's the beauty of your own business, the freedom to choose. So we have using a remote interior designer and using an interior designer local to your property. So here's how working with a remote interior designer usually goes. It's pretty easy to find one. Platforms like Fiverr are a great starting point. You can even reach out to someone you know that is an interior designer, maybe just in your local network. So after you go through that initial walkthrough, you'll take measurements of the space, including all the rooms, and share those with the designer, along with your budget and any specific preferences. So we'll dive more into the setting the budget and the walkthrough in the next video. But for now, here's what typically happens if you work with a remote designer. So they will create a 3D rendering of your space, showing how the furniture and decor will look so you can approve or request changes. They'll also provide you with a shopping list of all the furniture and decor items that they've purchased. And in many cases, they'll just use your company card to place the orders and have everything shipped right to the address. While the details will vary designer from designer on the exact process, this is pretty much how it works. There are some pros and cons, so I'm just going to go through these with you right now. Generally, a remote interior designer is cheaper than local for a couple reasons I'll discuss after. You're able to work with the same designer for any project anywhere in the world, which is a huge pro. You can bring them into your business in the future. I know a handful of people that have worked with interior designers. They worked with them for so long, the business grew to the point where it just made sense to have an interior designer, and they just brought them in, they assimilated. And the last pro be they work very well with budgets. This is anecdotal. I just find that the remote interior designers tend to work better with the budgets. Now, being able to work with the same designer for every project is actually a really big pro because you guys will know how to work with one another and it'll just be so streamlined. So this is a really big pro. The cons, on the other hand, is it's generally harder to coordinate the actual setup of the unit because you're relying on other people. So you're not there, your interior designer isn't there, so you're pretty much just hoping that they follow the plan for your first listing anyways, because if you work with the people in the city more than once, they'll eventually learn. There's more logistical errors when setting up, and what I mean by that is, maybe a couch wasn't dropped or ordered in that furniture list, or so they forgot to order something didn't arrive, something like that requires on the spot thinking, and there's really not anyone that's at that property to make a decision on the fly for you, right? And lastly, this again is anecdotal, you'll have to babysit the setup remotely unless you have someone in the city that you trust. And like I said, to find them, you can just jump on Fiverr, just type in interior designer. And there's a bunch of people to work with. It is that easy. You can work on Fiverr the first project, and then if they're great, you can even just take them off the platform and just figure it out between you two. The next option is working with a local interior designer, which in my opinion is the better choice for beginners tackling their first remote project. That said, just my opinion, you can absolutely succeed with either approach, so just go with what feels right for you. Here's how the process with a local designer would differ from the remote. So unlike a remote designer, you don't need to provide measurements from the walkthrough because since they're local, they'll simply just visit the property themselves to get a feel for the space. From there, the steps are similar. They'll create a furniture list, handle the ordering, arrange the delivery. The main difference is that the local designer is much more hands-on. They kind of act as like a project manager, like overseeing the setup. They'll coordinate with the assembly team, direct where furniture and decor should go, and ensure the space is staged perfectly for photos. They take care of like the fine details, like making sure everything's aligned with their vision, so the finished project is exactly as intended. Now that I've said this, you can probably imagine the operational issues that can sometimes naturally occur with remote interior design, because you get a two-in-one job here, since they kind of naturally presume overseeing everything, like the local designer. The hands-on approach, like I was saying, is especially valuable for beginners because most of the work is handled for you. However, it's worth noting that this option is often a bit more expensive. It is really good experience though, as a new business owner, to let go, for lack of a better word, and kind of have this build out happening under you. Here are some of the pros and cons working with a local interior designer. So a big pro is, like I was just saying, the operations behind the setup is just much easier because they handle a lot of it. They oversee the project. Much less likely to be a delay of any sort. Now let me walk you through what this actually means. So let's say a couch didn't make the delivery time, or maybe she forgot to send out the order. Whatever the problem may have been, since she's there, she can handle it right away. She can file it, she can get a refund and go up the road and get a couch similar from a furniture store. If anything doesn't make it, if there's any issues, she can just handle it. There's stores everywhere. There should be no reason to be a delay from anything like that. This is a big one too. They generally have many connections in the area relevant to this industry that you need. For example, most of them are either have their own staging team, they work with staging teams, or they work with real estate agents that have staging teams and furniture assembly. And a lot of the times, the interior designer will already have people that you need for your business. So it's really convenient. Some of the cons are, it is more expensive per project, but rightfully so, because you are asking of more of them. They are overseeing the project, so it makes sense. You'll need a new interior designer for every city. If you start expanding in different cities, you obviously can't use this local designer there. And this again is anecdotal, but I find that the local interior designers kind of have their own way of doing things. They don't like to work with specific vendors, like some are anti-Wayfair, anti-Amazon. They don't have the best time sticking to budget. Some are great, so I'm just saying my experience with some of them. And the last one is they lean towards certain styles. So if you're trying to make like an executive suite apartment and you have like a very girly girl designer, you're going to naturally have like some accents and stuff that would be a bit more feminine. Just this is a random example, or vice versa, right? It's just something to consider, that a lot of them kind of lean towards a certain style. So you have to be very specific on what you want and ensure that they actually understand. So you have to maintain the control of the design. That's all I'm saying. So you don't want to be like, oh, this is awesome. This girl's doing everything. This guy's doing everything. I don't even have to do anything. And then you look and it's not what you envisioned. And this one you do got to be careful with. I love working with local designers, but by the time you're at this point, the interior design that you want to use for this market. So you just want to make sure that you're following the trends, and you want to make sure that they know what to do. That's just some of the trials and tribulations I've had. I'm just trying to put on here for you. To find a local interior designer is really easy too. It's exactly how you think you'd find one. You just start searching. Charlotte interior designer. You can use Google, businesses everywhere, Instagram, there's a million. You can go on Thumbtack, interior designer. They're everywhere. So you have no limits to finding a designer locally. You just start looking, you have a call with them, and you see if you guys click. Next on your power team is the furniture assembling team. They are going to work with the interior designer and yourself, and they're in charge of moving the furniture and all the supplies that you've ordered from the storage facility to the actual unit, and then setting it up and staging it with the way the interior designer set it up. So how to find your assembly team? It's very similar to the interior designer. This is all similar, guys. So my preferred method for finding furniture assembly is Thumbtack. You can also look on Google as well for local movers and furniture assembly. Local referral. You can leverage your interior designer, photographer, or handyman to see if they have a contact. Now, this one I actually really recommend as a beginner, because odds are they're all in the same space, the same industry. So it's very likely that they have someone they've worked with in the past, or they know someone, or they all did the same job, where you can simply just ask, get a good reference right off the bat. Another bonus is if they've worked with each other, that's a good thing, because they'll be efficient. They know how, it's not like you're getting a bunch of new people all in a room and making them work right. They've already worked together. Lastly would be the Arbitrage Alliance itself. You could leverage our community right here and see if anyone has any recommendations in the city. The first thing I do anytime I've ever been in a new city is I ask people that I know that are operating in those cities or have in the past if they happen to know anyone for any job. It's the first thing I do, and it looks just like this. Assembly, and look, there's a bunch. You can shoot them all messages, get quotes, choose someone you like. Maybe one of them's done an Airbnb property before. Who knows? You can also go on Google the old-fashioned way. Furniture assembly, Charlotte. See, they're everywhere. 5-Star Assembly, Irvin Assembly, TJ Assembly. They're everywhere. The first page of Google. So the stuff isn't hard to find, guys. You just have to look. You simply just reach out to them and tell them your plan. You're launching a new Airbnb property. You have furniture coming to a local storage, and you're looking to have it moved to the unit and assembled. That's it. And they'll give you a quote. We'll talk budgeting later. Once you work with a team for the first time and they understand how your business operates and what's required, you can just keep using them for all the new properties. This way the process will become more efficient with each project, eventually making it feel effortless. This is why I like to have a local interior designer if I can. Because the interior designer and the assembly team, they get to know each other, they get to work together. And after you've done a couple of projects, it's so easy for you to coordinate because you don't really do anything. They know what to do. They know their expectations. They know what you're paying them. So you don't have to do any negotiating or anything like that. And you say, hey, I'm taking on a new project. What's your availability? I need it done by X time. That's it. You can do whatever. You can go on vacation. You can go to the cottage. You can work on something else in your business. And this will still get done. It's pretty cool. Next is maintenance and handyman. It's no surprise you find them the exact same way that you found the interior designer and the furniture assembling team. It's the exact same. You find them on Google, Thumbtack. Thumbtack's a great place, as I keep saying, for handymen and these type of jobs. So instead, I'm just going to tell you why you need maintenance and handymen at the beginning, because I've seen a couple people kind of skip this step, thinking they don't need them yet. They just kind of deal with it when it comes. So firstly, if you want to do this remotely, you're going to need someone to go through the initial walkthrough. So it is nice to have someone that you know that you've worked with before that can do this. So they can handle the initial walkthrough and get the measurements, and they also just generally have a keen eye for these type of inspections. You know what I'm talking about? Those kind of blue collar, they're good at this type of thing. They probably won't miss anything. Next is small repairs, so they can handle any minor fixes like door adjustments, patching walls, basically anything minor without the need to hire specialized contractors, right? This is perfect because little things happen all the time, in your property. So having someone you can just simply coordinate with to just come stop by, it's perfect. Third is a quick turnaround. So a handyman ensures that any last minute fixes are done efficiently. So this minimizes downtime in between bookings, so you don't have to block any dates or anything like that. And they can even make a quick pit stop during a guest stay if something's important, right? Sometimes stuff just happens and out of your control. So having someone you can call on the spot just for a quick resolution is just really important, guys. And lastly, it's just cost effective. A handyman can save you the expense of hiring different specialists by stopping by and handling multiple tasks at once. Small hole in the wall, drain clogged slow, toilet paper holder fell off, little things that can happen. This is perfect for spring going into, a peak season. Just make them do a quick walk down and anything that's just kind of happened over the past couple months. Now, of course, this isn't necessary for setup, but this is part of your power team for starting your Airbnb, because once it's operating, you need this. So don't wait until something happens. Bring someone on early, have the conversation with them, so you'll be good to go and you're ready for anything. Like I just said, you reach out to them the exact same way as you'd find an interior designer or a furniture assembly. Google, Thumbtack, referral, and just say this. I'm setting up a new Airbnb property in city, but I'm not from the area, so I'm looking for someone local to help with a quick walkthrough. The idea is to make sure everything looks good in person and that nothing has been missed from the photos. This is a one-time job for now, but I plan on doing more work here and would love to find someone reliable I can work with moving forward. Let me know if this sounds like something you'd be interested in, and we can go over the details. Looking forward to hearing from you. That's it. It's easy. This is a perfect first interaction. And then once you do that walkthrough, you'll get a sense of them. And then if they end up being a good addition to your team, you just bring them on as your handyman and your boots on the ground for the stuff I was just talking about. One thing I do want to touch base on, because you're about to be doing this stuff soon, is just be sure you're paying contractors the right way. What I mean by that is you never want to pay by the hour for these type of jobs. When workers are paid hourly, specifically this type of contract work, there's little incentive for them to work quickly or efficiently, especially if they know you're not there to monitor them. This can result in wasted time and higher costs than necessary, pretty much 100% of the time. And this isn't even their fault. This is just human nature. Like if they're getting paid by the hour, then what is their rush? What's the rush? I know this isn't always the case. A lot of jobs are paid hourly. But I just think in this specific field of like subcontract, like that world, you don't want to pay them by the hour. Next is never pay up front for any of these type of jobs. Never hand over the full payment before the job is finished. Structure payments in installments based on milestones. Please do this, guys. Based on milestones. So end of day 1, end of day 2, after confirmation that the work is complete. This tethers their payment to their work, not the clock. They can go home as soon as the job's finished, but they're paid by that job. If they don't agree to this, it is a red flag. I promise you. It usually means they're either A, not confident, or they're planning to cut corners in some way. The next thing you want to do is never, ever agree to their first quote. You want to start by asking key questions to get clarity on their pricing. Ask things like, how did you calculate that cost? How long do you think the job will take? How many people will be working on it? When you ask these questions, you'll often find that their pricing is based on guesswork. They've just thrown out a random number and hoping it'll stick. These guys literally have no idea why they price things the way they do sometimes, I swear. So what you want to do, what I always do, is break down the cost into an hourly rate and let them see. So let's say they're asking for $1,000 for a job and they estimate it'll take a day with 2 people working, because you just asked those questions. You would say something like, okay, that breaks down to about $125 an hour per person. Does that seem fair for this type of work? By showing them the math, you'll often help them realize the numbers don't add up at all. Once you've pointed out the gaps, you can counter with something fair. For example, you can say, considering the time and effort involved, I think $700 is more reasonable. Would that work for you? Most workers will either agree or meet you halfway. I'm serious though. Like some workers will quote a job, like a flat rate, and it ends up being like $100 an hour for a job that's quite literally like $25 an hour. It's pretty insane. So do not take the first quote. Do not take it as true. Shop around. Get quotes from other people to see the going rate. And if needed, whether this is ethical or not ethical to you, it's up to you. But you could even say something like, I'd really like to work with you, but someone else is offering to do it for $600. Even if they're not, you can just make this up. I'd rather move forward with you, but you can see I'm kind of in a position right now. Would you consider this price? Now, like I said, is this ethical? Maybe not. But if someone's giving you a price that's just not what it costs, then fair game. So next is all about hiring your cleaning team, or more importantly, your first cleaner. This is the easiest way, and still a great way even for anyone, to get a new cleaner on your team. Now, as you become a larger company, it may make more sense to create your own cleaning team and use software to monitor them, or partner with another cleaning team and leverage some of their connections, like a linen service, stuff like that, to get a bit cheaper cleans. There's a bunch of ways to do this. You can pay them a salary if you have enough units to provide full-time work. There's a bunch of ways. But I'm going to show you the easiest way that I started, that I tell everyone to do, and I still look at all the time for new cleaners. So let's get into it. So to hire your first cleaner, we're going to use Turno. So we're going to create an app on Turno, add your property to the cleaner search. Cleaners will then bid on your property. You'll message them on the platform asking for the number to ask additional questions. The reason you do this is because Turno itself is a cleaning software, so they get a percentage if you pay cleaners through this app. If you think it's awesome and you want to use Turno, you can go for it, but I usually will bring them off the platform and negotiate and figure out how we're going to work that way. But again, if you want to use Turno for the beginning, for simplicity's sake, you can go for it. One thing to mention is the chats are monitored, so don't say stuff like that in the chats. Just ask for the number to get them off the platform. Easiest way. You're going to qualify them, see if they're a good fit for your property, have a quick interview or a call, whatever you think is necessary, and bring them on the team. It's that easy. You just give them access to your calendar, or you link to Turno so they can see your calendar that way. So now I'm going to show you what this actually looks like. After you create a Turno account, this is going to be your dashboard. So what you're going to do is just click Cleaner Search. You're going to type in all your information here. Next is you're going to describe your cleaning needs. Just write 8 to 10, even though that's maybe too high, maybe too low. And depending on the size, just write 2 hours, 1.5 for a house, maybe an hour for a 1-bedroom. They have to wash and dry linens and towels. I generally provide cleaning supplies, so we just order them to the house or to the cleaner. And then you just click Find Cleaners. Now, after you do that, they are going to bid on your property, local cleaners in the area, and then you're just going to get messages, and then you just communicate with them. They are not new to this, right? And then schedule a meeting and see if they're a good fit and qualify them. It's really easy. It's all there is to it. Make sure you have your own checklists in place for them to follow and ensure that they are comfortable taking photos after each and every clean. Remember, they are working for you, not the other way around. They should follow your checklist and adhere to your rules. If this framing isn't set from the start, some cleaning companies will try to take advantage of you price-wise. If they're the one setting the checklist and the rules, there's also just no way to improve your own operations or prepare for growth. You're essentially abdicating responsibility, and it's just going to set you up for failure in the long run. Think about it. If it's their checklist, they order the supplies for themselves, then you're their client. It's not the other way around. And when you're their client, that is how people are getting trapped in outrageous cleaning prices, exactly because of that. You really need to treat this part as a key piece of your business and continually work on improving cleaning practices. Just because it's outsourced doesn't mean that you can shift all the responsibility if things go wrong. You can always refine your checklist, optimize scheduling, tighten operations, and in my opinion, you want your cleaning checklist to be dynamic. It's always being improved. Whenever you get a complaint on Airbnb, you just want to add it to your checklist. That's what I do. For example, maybe a guest shows you a photo of underneath the couch is dirty. You're just going to say, and then add, check underneath the couch to your checklist. Or they open up a cabinet and they found something in a cabinet. Cleaners will make mistakes. They're just human. So the better that you can systemize this checklist is going to reduce the chance of human error. It's just the way it is. So your checklist, you get the supplies, your rules, they're working for you. They are your cleaner. You're not their client. Moving on. The last on your starting power team is photographers, because when the property is set up, you're going to need it photographed, right? I'm going to dive deeper into the whole photography thing in the Airbnb listing guide, a couple of videos down. But for now, I'm just going to show you how I search for photographers. So HDR photography can make a big difference for your Airbnb. As the platform gets more competitive, professional photos are essential. So you want to make sure when you're looking for photographers that they shoot HDR. That's the difference. So where to find HDR photographers? You can just Google HDR real estate or Airbnb photography in the city your property is located. There'll be a bunch that pop up. You can ask your designer if they're local, if they have a photographer in their network. Odds are they do, and they're probably pretty good. You want to ask to see their prior work for Airbnb specifically, so you can get a sense of how good they are. Check out a few different photographers. And if you really want to go down a rabbit hole, you can look at the top performing Airbnbs in that city, and then dig around and see if you can find the person who shot it, because they always have their gallery on their websites and stuff. That's it's a rabbit hole, but you can find them. You'd be surprised. And don't pay more than $150 for an apartment or $300 for a full house, unless they're just so good. I have one area my properties are in where I do pay $350 for the photographer there, but she's just so good that the $50 I don't really care about. But stick to this for the most part. Odds are when you start getting into crazy pricing, you're usually just paying for that photographer, not the value those photos will give you, not the photos themselves. So just something to consider. Just jump on Google, HDR photography, Charlotte, and see. There's a bunch. Let's click this one, JRL. So they have the gallery here. You can reach out to them. Oh, that's a perfect example. So look at the HDR compared to single exposure. It makes a difference. But that is seriously how easy it is. You just Google and you find some good photographers in the area and you reach out. You'll learn about the perfect photography in the Airbnb listing, like I just said. So don't even worry about it for now. Just focus on actually reaching out and finding HDR photographers and getting some quotes. All right, let's get straight to it. This isn't going to be a long summary. First, reach out to the 5 key members of your starting team. These are the people who are going to make setting up your Airbnb run smoothly. Decide whether you'll work with a remote designer or a local one who can handle things on site. Both have their pros and cons, so figure out what works best for you. Next, start contacting furniture assemblers and handymen. You can use platforms like Thumbtack or even a quick Google search to find local options. Don't just stop at one though. Get quotes from multiple people to compare prices and find someone reliable you can use for the future. Then check out Turno. This tool is going to be a lifesaver when it's time to find a cleaner for your listing, especially at the beginning. Even if you're not quite ready for that step, get familiar with the platform now so it's easy to use later. Finally, once your place is furnished and cleaned, it's time to bring in a photographer. Great photos are just key right now to standing out in a competitive market. So start thinking about who you'll hire. Look for someone who specializes in real estate or Airbnb photography specifically to ensure they know how to capture the space in the best possible light. Remember, Airbnb photography is selling a story, so you want to make sure their work reflects that. All right,